4 players with massive red flags in 2025 fantasy football. We'll start out with Puka Nacua, and this one's going to be a little bit of an explanation needed. Nacua has only missed one stretch of time last year, and it was a bunch of games. He missed almost 2 months with a knee injury. As a rookie, played every game. But here's the deal with Puka Nacua. He is expected to take on a grueling blocking role in the Rams offense. Puka Nacua is taking collision after collision. And if you watch the games, you are seeing Nacua scraped off the field, helped to the sideline numerous times, and it happens in many of his games. That style of play is eventually going to catch up with him. Now, again, last year it did catch up partway through for the first half of the season, and he was great when he returned. But remember, you're drafting Puka Nacua in either the first round or early in the second round in your fantasy football draft. And if he misses time like he did last year, that is a big problem. And remember, there's also a minor red flag. I'm not really worried about it. Nacua is the clear number 1 here, but Davante Adams is going to be involved. Now, last year, Cooper Kupp was phased out because he was in steep decline. Adams isn't. Adams could command enough targets to take Nacua. Remember, Nacua was getting up at some point late last season. He was seeing upwards of 46% of targets in the second half of the season from Matthew Stafford. He may go to a more human range here. So all that said, Nacua, bet on him if you like, but the red flag is there with all the contact he takes that many receivers don't. Punishing blocker. Tyreek Hill has some major red flags. So last year he had the wrist injury, and we wrote off last year 959 yards and 6 touchdowns, mostly to that injury. But here's the problem. It wasn't the wrist injury that caused him a 38th percentile yards after the catch. Remember, Tyreek Hill is normally 90th percentile or better in that category. So to me, that wasn't the wrist. That was maybe Father Time catching up with a 30-year-old player, taking off just that little bit of elite speed that made him mortal to a degree. And all that said, Tyreek Hill has a limited quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, and defenses know that. And defenses will prepare to make things difficult for Tagovailoa. And finally, Tyreek Hill has said multiple times throughout the offseason that he is not happy in Miami. Well, what happens if Miami gets out to a 1-3 or a 1-4 start, and you have an unhappy Tyreek Hill that may have lost a nano step and also a quarterback that's limited? That is a problem that you don't want to deal with on your fantasy roster, even at what sounds like a value cost of wide receiver 15. If you're enjoying this breakdown, take a second, hit like and subscribe. It helps keep the fantasy advice coming. And if you want even more RotoWire's tools, rankings, and insights, we got a 15% discount just for our YouTube viewers. You head to rotowire.com, choose your subscription, and use the code YouTube15 at checkout. All right, let's talk Jayden Daniels. Nobody wants to see a red flag here. What a wonderful rookie season the young man had. 900 rushing yards in 891. Let's be honest with the exact number here. 6 touchdowns, 8 games with 50 or more rushing yards, 25 touchdowns through the air, which was really good. Here's the deal. Jayden Daniels stayed healthy last year. He did get knocked out of the Carolina game with a rib injury, but came back the next week, and I thought that was wonderful. Jayden Daniels is 6'4", 210 pounds. And Jayden Daniels is going to run a lot. Jayden Daniels is going to take big hits. Last year, he got fortunate with that. That luck eventually runs out. He takes hits in the pocket. Now the offensive line's upgraded. I understand that. But if Daniels is going to run with reckless abandon, at some point, this is a major red flag. Because, I hate to say it, but Robert Griffin III was another running quarterback who probably shouldn't have been running as much as he did, and the big hits pretty quickly took him down. Now, we can argue about how that was. My point is this. Jayden Daniels is a very slight quarterback, and it is something you need to be cognizant. Draft him for upside, but get a second quarterback in your draft to bridge it in case that happens with injury. Because if he stays healthy, Jayden Daniels is the real deal. We love what we see out of him. Evan Engram has some red flags. Now, I know last year he missed half a season, only 365 yards, so you might already say that's a red flag. But he goes to Denver, and the talk is that he'll be weaponized in the Joker role in Sean Payton's offense, which means he's a mismatch creator who will get the ball that way. Remember Taysom Hill playing for Sean Payton? Now, here's the problem. Denver projects to have an amazing defense this year. They were very good last year. First round draft pick Jahdae Barron at corner. Free agency, Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga from the 49ers, a linebacker and a safety. This could be an elite defense. Now, last year they couldn't run the ball. Javonte Williams and company, not good. Well, this year, J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, great offensive line. This team might play great defense. They might run the ball. And then when they pass, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims was really, positively involved late last season. Where does Engram fit in? At tight end 7, the red flag is there aren't going to be enough targets for him to eat and be consistently productive.